God for technology, right? What's great about this platform is that others can learn from the speakers here and that you can socialize in the chat room and engage with each other. Here's a quick tutorial to get you familiar with the Crowdcast platform. On the right of your screen, you're going to see the chat room. It's very easy because you're already in. So that's all you have to worry about. So don't forget to tell us where you're joining us from, because we want to give you and your city shout outs. Some of you already know that our theme for the conference is Reclaim, Rebalance, and Reset, because you joined us in part 1. If you missed part 1, which was Reclaim, do not worry. You can always go back and watch the broadcast right here on Crowdcast. The topic was totally different with some amazing tips. Today, we're focusing on rebalancing our finances, our fitness, and our nutrition. You and I both know that all three can get out of hand, especially during this time. So it's relevant that we discuss how to balance it all and help you and myself get back on track. There are a few things I would like to make note of. It's no secret that we're on a virtual platform, so we need to be aware that for your viewing experience, it may be interrupted because of internet connectivity, which we know sometimes is unpredictable. So if we have any technical issues during this time online, please bear with us and stick around until the end. Regardless of what happens, the program will go on until 2 p.m. So you don't want to miss out, especially because our Happy Her Hour is coming up with DJ Fergie. Yes, DJ Fergie is back. He was the one that was there last in Reclaim when you joined us previously. Next, I want you to become familiar with the acronym JWOOF. JWOOF is short for Jamaican Women of Florida, because I'll be using that term often. Now let's get going with the introduction of your host, yours truly, and then the panelists. For those of you who joined us from Reclaim, please bear with me so that I can reintroduce myself for those who are joining for the first time. I am Maxine Reyes. I'm from Manchester, Jamaica, a combat military veteran who served. Can you guys hear me? I wanted to make sure. Hello, can you hear me? Yes, okay, good. So, I am Maxine Reyes, and I'm originally from Manchester, Jamaica, a combat military veteran who served in the Army, and I served in Afghanistan. I'm proud to serve in both the Air Force and the Army, 11 years each. I'm a speaker and a vocal coach and host of Sincerely Maxine Reyes Show on Jamaicans.com Facebook page and the Courage and Grace podcast. To learn more about me, please visit the JWOOF website or MaxineReyes.com. I became a proud member of this organization last February after a friend recommended me to be a speaker at the conference. I met so many incredible professional women there and gained some solid sisters from the organization this past year, some of which will be helping out in the background today. We'll have Karen, Sidonie, Camille, Michelle, and June will be my battle buddies. So you may get to see some of their beautiful faces now and then. Before we go any further, I would like to thank our generous sponsors. Our presenting partner is the Jamaica Tourist Board, media partner, Jamaicans.com, which is streaming live right now, and our scholarship partner, Broward Meat and Fish, and finally, Turnstile Marketing. We'll be giving away Amazon gift cards and the wonderful beauty gift basket from one of our vendors, Red Rose Naturals, which is a plant-based skincare brand. So you need to stick around and interact with each other in the chat room for a chance to win one of these gifts. After our panel discussion, we will answer your questions, display our vendor slideshow, hear the JWOOF president's message, and winner scholarship presentation, and then continue to celebrate live to the max at the Happy Her Hour that follows with DJ Fergie and Reclaim, from Reclaim. Be sure to treat yourself generously from the awesome lineup of vendors who are local or from Jamaica. JWOOF is known to provide the best vendors, and I can tell you from experience that every product that I've tried in the last conference was of high quality. Wherever you're joining us from, whether you're in your living room, your kitchen, or your backyard. Please sit back, relax, and get ready to learn and be empowered. Let me introduce you to our panelists, David Mullins, Nicole Chaplin, and Patricia Thompson. So while we're getting them, okay, so David is here. Yay. Hi, David. David P. Mullins is the founder, chairman, and CEO of Blue Maho Capital Partners, a managing partner for Latin America and the Caribbean at Green Street Trust International. He's chairman of Ingenuity Technologies, advisory board member for the Google-funded Caribbean School of Data at the Mona School of Business and Management, and a mentor at the Branson Center at Caribbean. David has served on the board of directors for the Institute of Caribbean Studies in Washington, D.C. and Jamaica Tours diaspora boards. Up next, we'll have Nicole Chaplin. Nicole Chaplin is also known as the British rock star. She has been featured as a model in Teen Vogue, Fitness RX for Women, Women's Health, Black Enterprise, Ebony, Muscle and Fitness Hers, and Oxygen Magazine 8 times. A native of Jamaica, Nicole was ranked second on Shape Magazine's top 50 hottest trainers in America, out of 300,000 statewide. And she has been a guest on many networks, such as ABC's Good Morning America and CBS News, has had many more accomplishments, and today she is right here with us. The sound that is quite distracting. Can you guys hear that? But yeah, I told you already. I warned you guys that technology may mess us up, so that's what's going on. Stick in there with us, please. Patricia. Patricia is a to develop a passion for the field and become a pioneer in the field of nutrition. She has degrees in both biology and biochemistry, as well as a master's in nutrition. Patricia has authored several books, including Caribbean Diets for Fitness and Sports Success. She does private practice and teaching, consulting, mentoring local and international dietetic students. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a loud applause so we can hear you virtually and welcome our panelists for Rebalance. Let's jump right into it. My first question is for Nicole. Nicole, with so many people at home right now, how can we use our current home environment to develop an exercise program?
Well, first and foremost, before I say anything, I want to thank you so much for having me as a panelist. I'm very, very grateful to be here. And to answer your question, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you. It's quite distracting. Something's going on with the system. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Technology doing its thing. One second, let me just check on our folks in the chat room. Can you guys hear us? Is it quite distracting? Because we don't want to continue on if you cannot hear. Sidoni, can you hear? Are you guys hearing us clearly? Because each other, we're hearing a lot of feedback. You have reverb on your side too. Okay. There's an echo. Yes, I heard that. Suggestion, mute the mic when you're not speaking. So that's what I did. So everyone, and this is live TV or live internet, so we have to go with the flow. Please mute your mic if you're not speaking. And I'll do
I think if you have a cell phone, if you can turn off the cell phone or put it in the other room, it'll drop the echoing, because I don't have my cell phone on. I turned it off. So if you can mute your cell phone, because I don't have any cell phone around me, mine is off.
Okay. Yes, if you have a cell phone on, please mute that device. Is it better, guys?
Can everybody hear me now?
It's still echoing. It's still echoing. So if anyone has an additional cell phone on, please turn it off.
How about now?
It's still echoing. So that is
Really?
you, Nicole. Yeah, it's still echoing.
Why?
David, please say something so we'll make sure that it's you're mute.
Yeah,
But
I just put mine off. So how is that?
you have a little echo too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Patricia? You're mute. You're mute. Patricia, let me hear you. Okay.
I was mute, but
Okay, I can hear you clearly.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I'm hearing the disturbance as well.
Yes, but you're clear, so it's not on your end.
How about
Okay.
now?
Oh, I can hear it. It's
That
echoing.
goes.
Okay, let me go get
Nicole, if you can hear me, please try to get some headphones. And I'm going to apologize on behalf of whatever's happening. We're not 100% sure what's happening, but we're just going with the flow, guys. I did warn you about this technology, so it happens. Last time it was smooth, and now something's going on. So let's see who's joining us until we can get some better sound. We have folks joining us from Florida, of course, and someone from Dana Beach. So keep letting us know where you're joining us from, and we'll work on this in the meantime. Okay. Thank you so much for your patience as we get this stuff together.
Maxine,
So Nicole has an earpiece in. Let me hear you, Nicole.
how about now? I put in the headphones.
Much better. Much better.
Oh, thank God.
Thank God. All right. So
The devil
you're going to tell us how we can use our current home situation to develop an exercise program.
Okay, so to answer the question, how can you use your home to develop a home exercise, correct?
Yes, yes.
Don't overthink it.
Mm.
Number one, people think that they have to create this big gym and order all this stuff. You don't have to. Use what you have. If you have water bottles, use it as dumbbells. You have a mat, that's your gym floor. You have rubber bands, little rubber bands. You could get 4 or 5 together and pull them, right? Things that are already in your house. Also, too, when you're exercise, have a plan. Oh, I'm going to wake up and exercise. No, write it out. Like anything else in life, have a plan. Today, I'm going to focus on legs, squats, lunges, hops, walking lunges. Tomorrow, I'll focus on upper body, push-ups, planks, simple things. In order to be heart healthy, you need 20 minutes of exercise a day. 20 minutes. That's it. I see you, Susan. Yep, using the water bottles. Awesome. And also, too, when you're exercise, you want to break up a sweat. You know that if you're walking and you're kind of leisurely walking, and you're acting like you're looking at the trees, that's not enough. You want to pump your body up. You want to let out those endorphins, especially in this time of Rona resistance. You need to let out that good energy because it's addictive and it's also contagious. When you walk outside and you're excited and everybody's smiling and you bring that into your house, you're going to affect everybody in the home. So it's not just about you exercising, it's about everybody in your environment.
So pretty much create a plan, yeah?
Huh?
Create a plan and do all the things that you just gave them, all the advice that you just gave them.
That's it.
Outstanding. Thank you so much. And Patricia, in a time like this where there are a lot of people who are affected mentally, can you discuss how nutrition impacts mental health?
Yes, at a time like this, what you want to do is to ensure that you have good coping skills. A lot of the times it's your eating pattern, your eating behavior that's at fault. And it's a good time to start developing your structured eating habits. So you're at home and, just like with exercise, you have to plan ahead. Okay. So one of the things you want to do is to make sure that you're having regular intake. You want to call it meals, you want to call it snack, but the brain functions on cycle. We call it the circadian rhythm, just like almost any organ of the body. And so you want to keep it alert at all times. It's at this time you may be seeing some irrational behavior, less tolerance. And this is not just for adults, you know, this is for children, because we see it in schools, because I run school programs as well. And children who come to school without eating their breakfast, they behave very irrationally if spoken to, or if anybody happens to accidentally touch them or anything like that. So please do not skip meals at this time. Ensure that you have a regular pattern of intake. Certainly, this is no time to start avoiding certain foods and saying that you're going to be crash dieting now or losing weight and so on. Once you have a structured way of eating and you are eating within your requirements, we call balanced eating, then, you know, all of that will fall into place. So all the food groups, now I know different countries have different food groups, but certainly be guided by the food groups. Don't leave out any. So persons may tend to neglect fruits and vegetables because they said those are too expensive. This is not the time to be neglecting that, right? If you have the need to snack because you may get cravings, you know, some people do comfort eating. Make sure that you have on hand the kinds of foods that you can fit into your balanced plan for comfort eating, whether it be your fresh raw nuts or your fresh fruits and vegetables. One guideline I always say, make sure each day you're eating at least 5 different colors of foods. Don't let them all be the same. Yes, mix and match your colors to make sure you're getting all the nutrients, the full range of nutrients. Mix and match your texture of foods. You know, and as I said, whatever country you're in, you'll be guided by your food groups to ensure that you're getting the full range of nutrients, because first and foremost, your balance has to be, your diet has to be balanced. Yes, yes.
So make sure your plate is all colorful. That means it has every color in it. And
certainly. I always say, don't let your plate look all white. So you're having white fish and you're having white cabbage and you're having white rice. You know, Jamaicans have a way of that. Put some color in there, some orange and some red and some yellow, you know, that type of thing. And it's not just fruits and vegetables with color. Well, certainly in Jamaica, we have purple yam and blue dasheen and, you know, all kinds of colors. So use them up, mix them up, put them all in the mix. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Patricia. And David, we're gonna just keep this going. I mean, financial concerns can impact our mental and physical health. So what are some generic tips to guide our new outlook and approach to finance in these unprecedented times?
Well, thanks for having me. And certainly the first thing I'd recommend is if you have a 401k, many people in the United States are working and they have a 401k, please do not look at it every day or every week. Right now, that is going to literally depress you because the market has been so whipsawing that you are going to now be emotionally whipsawed each day as well if you do that. So number one, if you have a 401k, don't look at it. If you have your own portfolio that you are running, right, self-directed or so on, be very careful and remind yourself that you're in it for the long term. So if you weren't planning to retire this year or next year, then remember that I see that it's down right now, or it might suddenly be up tomorrow. It dropped 10% today. Focus on why were you doing it? What's my timeline? You have to remind yourself of what was my end goal? When am I supposed to retire? Rather than thinking, oh, I'm down 30%. How am I going to make it back? And then you're going to be emotionally pushed to withdraw something that day. Or you start deciding, oh, this might be a great time to go and invest. Let me now start researching a bunch of companies. That's also going to put additional stress on you that you don't need right now. We're dealing with too much on the personal side. Some of us are a bit anxious on the family side. And then we have health we're worrying about. So I would say the most important thing is don't check your 401k or your statements every day. And please do not watch financial news every single day. It is, nobody on there knows what's happening. And one day is going to sound amazing. And then the next day it sounds like the sky is falling. So for now, stay away from daily news, financial news.
Right. So it's like checking your weight every day. That's not going to help you. Just stay away from scale and keep eating. Right. All right. Thank you for that, David. Nicole, so people ask me to share my fitness routine because I do my best to stay in shape. And so I'm always happy to share, but what works for me doesn't work I mean, it doesn't mean it's going to work for somebody else, right? At least not the same way. What should individuals look for in finding the right fitness program for them? And once they discover that, what's the best way to get on a fitness plan?
Well, definitely you have to know what your level is, right? If you never exercised before, you don't want to start out running 4 miles. You have to be realistic. If you're moderately active, then you can start a little bit more aggressively. If you have injury, that plays into a part as well. If you have maybe something going on with your ankle or your knee or your lower back, you want to take that into consideration on what you're doing. Most people have no problem with walking. Walking is something easy. You can make it a brisk walk, and you could do it anywhere, outside, by a park, in your community. It doesn't really matter. When you're coming up with your plan, you want to make sure that you know what your goal is. So if your goal is weight loss, you want to be more aggressive. And like Patricia was saying, the eating, you want to take that into play, right? If you want to build muscle, then you need to add in some resistance. You want to make sure that you're maybe using those water bottles that we talked about, right? Oh, exactly. Or like I have a 2-year-old, he's now 39 pounds. I use him to do squats. I literally have him on my back and I say, but it works.
That's where those thighs come from, huh?
And also we bond. We bond. Exercise can be a bonding tool. You and your husband, you and your daughter, you and your son, even if it's a baby, that time you can go around with a stroller. And like I said before, make it heart healthy, 20 minutes minimum every day.
Awesome. Great tips. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Patricia, what are some of the things that we can do today to improve our nutritional health? What are some foods that we should stay away from?
Okay. First, I just wanted to comment on these people who are weighing every day. Okay, you have water balance daily. So that's more the first thing that's going to be reflected on the scale. If you want to know your fat weight change, it's once a week. The body actually rebalances itself over a weekly basis. So that's the first thing. Don't get obsessed with your weight on the scale every day. Now, in terms of water, you can use your scale to monitor your water intake because, as I said, it's reflected on the scale right away. And extremely important at this time, especially if you should get any kind of illness, not just the COVID-19, any kind of illness. Your hydration is very, very important for you to overcome. Okay, so you have to make sure that you're getting adequate. Now, we read in textbooks and so on, minimum 6 to 8 glasses. Now, this is good if you are in an air-conditioned home, and I know many of the viewers will be doing that in a temperate country. But in a tropical climate like Jamaica, especially if you're outside in the sun, you're going to perspire a lot, and we lose a lot of water in perspiration. So I think you're looking more at like 10 glasses of water a day or even more. For our athletes are very important, and even though they have scaled down on their training, they still have to keep fit, and they do go out, believe it or not, and they may be perspiring very heavily, and they need to put back in that fluid. The fiber intake is very, very important. Again, you need to boost up your immune status, and believe it or not, we used to think immunity originated in the blood. We are now learning it originates in the colon of the gut, where the bacteria are. We call it the microbiome, and we have to nourish them properly. We have to give them the correct fiber because that's what they thrive on to produce the antibodies. So the water and the fiber go hand in hand. And this is why you'll hear a lot of promotion on the media about eating adequate fruits and vegetables, especially your vegetables. Okay, these are the kinds of fiber, they call them the prebiotic fiber, that your bacteria in your gut will be thriving on. And they're actually carbohydrate foods, or plant foods that are fresh and that have this high fiber. And as I said before, balanced diet. Make sure you're getting sources of all your nutrients. Your iron, you don't want to get anemic at this time. Your calcium, your vitamins, your B vitamins, you know, and your A. Don't forget your A. People know about vitamin C and the common cold. This is not just a common cold. You need to get your vitamin A, and especially from the yellow vegetables, that's called your carotene, your beta carotene. You need to keep that up. That is very, very critical when you get viral infections. Okay, so this is some of the things, but remember your water, right? Remember your high fiber, okay? And remember your balanced intake.
All three. Got them down. Take notes, guys.
Don't neglect anything. And balanced intake, as I said before, comes from all the food groups. Don't leave out any. If you asked about avoiding, if the food is not classifiable in any of the food groups that you're using, and there are quite a few of these, most notably, of course, sugar. Sugar is not classified because it's not an essential nutrient. It is a nutrient, it's not essential. Because all carbohydrates will form glucose sugar in the body. So whether you eat sugar or not, your body is going to have this. The only carbohydrate in the body is sugar. Okay, so you're not going to be deprived of it. So you want to minimize on that, okay, because it's not essential. It's not in any of the food groups. So what you need to do is to ask yourself, is it in any of the food groups? If it is not there, then it is not necessary. Now, unfortunately, these are the things that people gravitate towards when they start to feel stressed, and they look towards their comfort eating. And especially if the sugar comes along with fat. There are a lot of studies that actually show that these are addictive food components, and they are sometimes even more addictive than hard drugs, some of the hard drugs. And they follow the same pathway. So you get comforted at first, right? Because it's calming, it has a calming effect. But as you eat more and more, it causes you to get more irritable, less tolerant, and even leading to violence. Surprisingly or not, there are studies. I mean, we have a leading anthropologist at UWI in Jamaica, and he has shown some studies whereby you deprive, especially the boys. It seems as if the females are better able to compromise, but with boys and with males, they are not able to compromise when they get hungry. And persistent hunger, we call it transient hunger, yes, but transient hunger every day, and we're not talking about hunger like starvation hunger. Okay, we're talking about depriving the brain of food so it cannot function rationally, it cannot think alertly, okay? And so this is where we get spin-off effects from that. So as I said, it doesn't belong to the food group, like too much sugar, let's leave that alone. Let's get the food groups in.
Awesome, thank you very much. So we have folks that are adding questions here. Don't forget to keep adding the questions that you want to ask the panelists, and we'll get that after the next few questions. Okay, so thank you for your inputs in the chat room. I see it lighting up. Great job, guys. David, in regards to, so we're gonna go off the nutrition part a bit and go straight into money. In regards to Jamaica Stock Exchange, word on the street is that persons will receive a better return on investment if they invest in Jamaica. So how does a person begin to invest in Jamaica as a new investor?
All right, so the most important thing is the disclaimer that past performance doesn't always guarantee future results. So the Jamaica Stock Exchange was the best performing stock exchange for the last 5 years, and that's according to Bloomberg. So Jamaica had an over 300% return if you had invested overall in the Jamaica Stock Exchange for 5 years. Vietnam was number 2, and it was in the 87% region, and then the US was right below that, 70+%. Jamaica is down now. I just looked at it this morning to double check. We're down just under 30% for the year to date. Yeah, so and it hasn't been seesawing as crazy as the United States. If you want to participate down there, which is Blue Moho Capital is investing down there as well. We go through JN Fund Manager. So anybody in the world can set up an account with an investment manager in Jamaica. So this is NCB Capital Markets, JMMB, and so on. You'd have to go on the Jamaica Stock Exchange website and figure out the different brokers, the fees, and decide which one you want to open an account with. And then there's one hard problem. You don't need to be a Jamaican citizen. You don't need a TRN. You can use your social security number here in the US. And if you are a US person, you have to give them your social security number because they report it back to the IRS here, thanks to FATCA. But you need 2 letters of reference when you're opening the account in Jamaica, just like if you're opening a bank account. So it is a bit hard, and in most cases, you have to fly down in person to finish signing the paperwork. Not everything is done digitally. So it does pose an issue, but that is how you would start. In our case, Blue Moho Capital is trying to solve that problem. So we have an account with Jane Fund Managers, and we have taken investor capital here in the US, and we invest in a smaller portfolio, a more concentrated portfolio of companies based on investment strategy that we worked on with Michael Leachin. And our goal is to go public. So we intend to list by the end of this year on the NASDAQ. So any of you who want to get exposure to Jamaica, you wouldn't have to do all that crazy stuff. You would simply buy our stock on the NASDAQ. Whenever you want to exit, you can exit. Is regulated, is audited. You can see what is in the portfolio. And we would be able to do some private companies as well. But those are unfortunately the only ways. There is no exchange traded fund here in the United States that allows us to buy and get exposure to Jamaica. I can get exposure to Africa. I can get exposure to Mexico or Latin American countries. There's none for Jamaica, and we looked at it, and there's a regulatory issue. So we are trying to solve the problem ourselves. Otherwise, pretty much you can't do one right now, because you can't fly to Jamaica before June 1st. So unfortunately, either you go through us today or you wait until the middle of June, which is not a bad thing though. Waiting is not a bad thing right now. It's very uncertain. And as we've seen in Jamaica, we have to factor in one thing before I finish. When we're investing down there, most of the stocks are in Jamaican dollars. There are some US dollar stocks. I mean, to give an example, we bought a company last year called Cygnus Credit Investments. We bought their stock in the IPO. And the US dollar version they listed and a Jamaican dollar version. The US dollar version was up 64% in 1 year. And the Jamaican dollar version was up 140% in 1 year. But then the Jamaican dollar also moved around. So thankfully, the Jamaican dollar has been going up and down. We've seen it go both ways. Right now it's down. It went from 141 to 144 in a week. And obviously that's because tourism is non-existent. So no US dollars coming in. Remittance is down 15%. So there's a little bit extra you have to think about. It's a currency risk with Jamaica.
Awesome. That's very informational, because I didn't know half of those things that you just said. So I appreciate it, and I'll definitely look into it myself. So we have several questions that are coming up. So the folks are dropping the questions in the chat, and they have several questions for you, David. And we'll get to those questions. We have 3 more questions to ask you, and then we'll get into the question from the audience. So Nicole, my last question for you is, how do you stay motivated and stay on track, be that rock star that you are? And what would you like to say to our new mommies out there?
I'll say I stay motivated when I put on my pants and they still fit. I don't want them to get any tighter. So when I start feeling, I can't fit these, I say, you know what? Too much oxtail and rice and peas. I have to slow down. I have to really slow down on the fried dumpling. But I am so grateful for my life. And I feel that if we take appreciation for our bodies and our minds, that keeps me motivated. When I get a message on Instagram about me losing 70 pounds and having an emergency C-section, and hearing another mom say, I saw your belly, your tummy, and I didn't think I could ever snatch it back into place without surgery, that motivates me, because it's not just about the body, it's about how you feel. And we have to be honest with ourselves. If you look in the mirror and you don't feel confident, you can't feel good about yourself. Sometimes it's a challenge. So sometimes you have to work on the outside so it can affect the inside. Not everybody can work on the inside first. Sometimes you have to say, you know what, I am not happy with how I look. I'm not happy with my skin breaking out. I want to change. I want to feel and look at myself and say, wow. And that is what keeps me motivated, not the vanity of it, but knowing that I can be my best. And also what motivates me right now in this Rona resistance that we're living is that we're all here. We made it. Somebody did not wake up today, but we're here. And we come from a country that is rooted in excellence, So it is up to me to make sure I keep on that legacy, not only for myself and my future generations, but for my country. That's what keeps me motivated.
There we go.
Yes.
One for Jamaica.
I have my flag around here. Miss soon bust it out.
Outstanding. I can definitely relate to not fitting in your clothes and having that be a motivation because you don't want to go shopping, or you can't really, spend all that money on shopping. You rather spend it somewhere else.
Exactly.
So I'm with you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, and thanks for the tip for our new mommies.
Yes.
Patricia, so if you look on social media, there are many people who are grateful for this extra time away from the office, and they're getting more rest, right? But some people are gravely affected and are not getting enough rest. So what are some vitamins or minerals that can improve sleep or even lower anxiety? Can you help us with that?
Okay, before we get to the vitamins and minerals, because sometimes this is misinformation. Okay, it's more the certain types of protein. So, for example, what we call, protein is made up of building blocks called amino acids, and there are some amino acids that do have a calming effect, like tryptophan. Now, you might have heard, take a glass of milk just before bedtime, for example. Tryptophan is one of those amino acids that have a calming effect. Okay, so it's not the kind of food you want to have if you're revving up for a race. Okay, because you want to get the adrenaline flowing. You don't want to be calmed down. All right. So there's another item of, I wouldn't call it a nutrient. It's called melatonin, and it's primarily had as a supplement. Because in the fresh foods, we don't have enough research to show the level of melatonin that we have in a number of our regular foods. Then there are many teas, herbs that have the reputation of having a calming effect to put you to sleep. Everybody must be familiar by now with sweetsup leaves and chamomile tea and those types of stuff. One of the main things, again, I want to come back to is your meal timing, your meal spacing. Persons are eating their last meal too close to retiring for sleep. Now, eating is very important during the hours that you are very active, because that's what food is. Food is supposed to nourish you, to make you active. Okay, so you don't give yourself energy to go to sleep. So you want to make sure you have a good gap between 2 to 3 hours from your last intake to when you're going to retire, because the gut, if you want to rev up your metabolism and so on, your gut is the best place to get going. All right. So during the day, you follow certain meal timing, and it's usually recommended about a 4-hour meal interval. Right. So whatever time you start eating in the morning, usually you eat 4 hours. So if you start breakfast at 7, you should be having your lunch at 11. Then you'll have your dinner at 3, and then you have your supper at 7. And then you may retire at, say, 10 o'clock. Then that requires no snacking. Most persons, however, have 3 meals a day, 3 main meals. So if you had breakfast at 7, chances are your lunch maybe 12, 1 o'clock. That is when you now have to interject a mid-morning snack. Okay, that way it's a smaller intake. It keeps the gut going. It keeps the gut revved up to keep you alert, to keep you active. And the same thing with the afternoon. Now, some people like to go all day without eating. That's not good. That's not good. Your productivity goes down. So when you time your meals, and then the other hint I must give you, your body, your circadian rhythm allows 12 hours for activity and 12 hours for refreshing and rebalancing, so to speak. Okay, so after your 12 hours of intake, when you finish eating at that 7 o'clock, you need a 12-hour overnight fast. Yeah. So when you get up to start eating again, when you break your overnight fast, that would be 7 o'clock the next morning. Now, it depends on what time you stop eating. If you stop eating at 6 o'clock, then your overnight fast for 12 hours would end at 6 o'clock. You see what I'm saying? And your snacks are utilized in between. Now, this is not an excuse to just eat more food. Some people think that by snacking, they'll eat more food. Not at all, not at all. It's the same amount of food divided up. So be careful not to overeat. So put it in terms of calories. If you normally eat with, say, 2,000 calories a day, and you're having, say, 4 meals, that's 500 calories per meal. Okay? But if you're having 3 meals and 2 snacks, it's still 2,000 calories. You now have to decide, how to apportion how much. Usually it's 25 to 30% for breakfast. Well, personally, I like to have a big breakfast to get going. It's usually about 30% of those calories for lunch. And then it's maybe about another 20% for your supper, depending on how close and how many snacks you have had in between. So if you haven't used up your full 100% with meals, then you apportion, say, 15 to 20% in between meals for snacks. So you're not overeating. It's the same amount of food divided up in a different way. Just a last comment on probiotics. Somebody mentioned that on the comments. Probiotics is different from prebiotics. Prebiotics are natural and they're found in plant foods, and they stimulate the bacteria in your gut. Okay, these are naturally within your body. Probiotics are live bacteria that have to be added to food. So yes, indeed, yogurt is a good source of probiotics, but it's not all yogurt. As you said, fresh yogurt, and this is because the live bacteria has to be immobilized. It has to be made dormant, added to the yogurt by the manufacturer. And when it gets into the body, it gets in touch with certain substances in the gut that activate it, reactivate it. And that's what a probiotic is. And indeed, it then works just as good as the prebiotics. Okay?
Yes, ma'am. Outstanding. Thank you very much. I see that you started answering some questions from the audience, and I'm sure they're happy about that. We're going to get to the rest of you guys after this last question, and I'm going to direct it to David. David, what do you wish you had done or known financially in your 20s, 30s, and I don't think you're 40s yet, so I won't even hit 40s.
One more year. One more year.
And what are some good resources that you'd like to recommend?
So I'll give you the resource first, and is a free resource, and it's the Motley Fool website, which is actually fool.com, FOOL.com, surprisingly. But they actually have a section called How to Invest, and very simple breakdowns, including videos step by step that teaches you what is the stock market, how does it work, what's the difference between a mutual fund and an ETF, because that's what most of you will hear if you go to talk to a financial advisor or try to set up your own account. So fool.com, you click How to Invest, and we have time to go and learn. The key thing is that you don't want to suddenly try to become a stock picker, though. You want to understand what you need to do and then find a financial advisor. And that way they can't trick you, because Warren Buffett says if you ask the barber if you need a haircut, the barber is going to obviously say yes. So financial advisors get paid commissions in most cases for trading. So they're happily buying and selling for you and whittling down your account. On the listening side, what would I want to tell myself, especially in the 20s, more not as much as 30s? I'll be honest, I felt I was different from everybody else. I'm not doing a standard 9-to-5 job, so I don't need to save as much and do the traditional 401k or invest for the long term, because I am in the financial space. I worked at a bank and designed financial products. I'm an entrepreneur. So I used to walk around saying my retirement plan was a startup. I'm putting all of my eggs in one basket and watching it like a hawk, totally forgetting that more than 70% of businesses fail within the 5 years. But don't worry, I will not be in that 70%. I'm going to be the 10% that do really well. And we've had some failures, and it's forced me to end up going back to zero each time and then have to restart. So I would say that is the single biggest thing I tell myself. Don't think that you're any different from everybody else. So invest like the average person and take a little risk on the side. Don't dump all the risk into that one entity. And one thing I did do that worked out beneficial though, and I tell everybody, if you don't have it, certainly do it for your kids. My parents had set up a life insurance policy for me. We had a whole life policy. And so the first time we had a major failure, mom and dad were able to call and say, hey, you have a policy that we've kept hidden from you and has this much cash value now. You can borrow against it for a little bit at a decent rate. And that helped me to get restarted and launch something else. So having that life insurance policy I was able to borrow against it, and they kept it hidden from me. So if you have kids, I would say set one up, don't tell them about it. And if they ever get into trouble later in life because they choose to be an entrepreneur, that can bail them out.
Outstanding. Thank you, David. See, I have several keys that we'll take away, but I'll list that at the end because we have some questions by the audience that we want to answer as many as we'll get that website to you. I saw some folks asking what that Motley Fool website was, so we'll get that to you. So we're gonna go down the list as they came in. David, the first one's for you, says, what's the advice for those nearer to retirement? What's a good advice for those nearer to retirement?
Yes, so my parents are in retirement, so they've been asking me this for a few years. And it's interesting that you named this rebalance. Today's rebalance. Well, that's what you're supposed to be doing with your portfolio. You're supposed to be rebalancing when something like this happens. So normally, as you get older, you rebalance your portfolio each year to have less stocks and more bonds, more fixed income. Some of us, most of us actually don't do that. We don't follow this. It's supposed to be essentially is 100 minus your age, and that percentage should be in stocks. That's the rough number. So when I hit 60, no more than 40% should be in stocks. That way you don't get walloped as bad. If you haven't done that though, which most of us don't, let's admit, right now is a good time to go and rebalance. The market has rebounded fairly well. You need to take some of those gains. You really should be taking some of those gains and put them into either dividend-paying stocks. So these are the companies that are paying a consistent dividend, like a Coca-Cola, or you want to be buying some bonds that are going to pay a steady amount for the next 5 years or 10 years, and you get that income. That's what you really should be doing if you're near to retirement. Please do not try to, let me take some of my retirement money and stick it in the stock market to benefit from our bugs. You can't predict what's going to happen in the short term. That needs to be thinking 5 years out. So rebalance next week.
Thank you. That question was from Sandra. And so what I'm going to do is ask questions that were not answered already. I just noticed that one was answered, but thank you for elaborating on that a little bit more for everyone. The next question is for Patricia from Sidoni. Patricia said, I assume that people are drinking at home more often these days. What is a safe daily, weekly amount to have a drink, but not overdo it?
Okay, a drink here meaning alcoholic beverage. Right.
Yes.
So, I must say the body does not metabolize alcohol as well as it metabolizes nutrients that deliver energy. Okay, and it is more energy dense than say carbohydrate or protein. Okay, although fat is the most energy dense, but you get a lot of calories packed in with alcohol and it is not metabolized. So it goes into the liver and it stays there for quite a while it is being metabolized. And it has been determined that women can tolerate an average of 1 drink per day and men 2 drinks. Now it depends on what you mean by a drink. Okay, it has to do with levels of alcohol, but pretty much in terms of quantity, a drink of hard alcohol, it's what they call about your finger, right? Your fingertip, like if you understand ounces, 1.5 ounces. That's a hard drink. For like beer, which is a little lighter, a drink is talking about more like 6 ounces. Okay, now Red Stripe beer is a heavy beer. Okay, but you have lighter beers. That's about 6 ounces. So that's the amount that can be tolerated daily, generally male and female. Okay, but remember, if you have sluggish metabolism, it sits there in the liver, it does not get used up, and so it can damage your liver cells. So it's not weekly, so to speak. It's you will metabolize it daily, right? But it's just at the rate at which it will be metabolized.
Awesome, thank you. Nicole, I have a question from Anika. She says, is it better to exercise on a completely empty stomach or a light food snack works? Will that work?
I think it depends on the time of the day you work out. If you work out in the morning on an empty stomach, maybe eat a piece of fruit. I like to eat half a banana just to get my body going. I don't like to completely be empty because we've been fasting through the night and the body does need some type of energy. Some people, they like to do a protein shake, but only half of it. Half of it before the workout, half of it after the workout, because it gives them something in their stomach and as well as it doesn't hold them down. Because if you drink the whole protein shake, you might have to wait till it digests, and depending on your time, you won't be able to work out. Now, if you work out in the afternoon and you've had a full day of work, you maybe could eat a little bit more, let that digest, and then go ahead with your workout. But it really depends on your energy level. Like I said, I like to eat something. I don't make it a big thing. Half an orange, half a banana. I like a piece of fruit, and then I go for it. And I woke her out at 4 a.m. So I'm an early bird.
Yes.
Very early.
Yes.
You're pulling military time on me.
Yes.
Thanks for that response. We have
Yes.
Stephanie Booth. She says, could we talk about ways to control eating? That question just went somewhere. Okay, but we'll go with the next one that just disappeared. Patricia, what's a recommendable diet to incorporate with exercise to lose belly fat?
Okay, so it depends on where you're starting from. I mean, that's a book. That's why I have a book called Caribbean Diet, so Fitness and Sports Success. Okay. So I could suggest you probably visit my website. It's a little challenging, but you can kind of find it, and we can get talking. But it's www.jamaicanutrition.com. Now, a lot of people don't understand the calories relative to exercise. So Nicole mentioned, for example, if you're going to be walking slowly and conversing and, enjoying the birds and the flowers and so on, you might not be burning as much calories as you think you're burning. Okay, so she mentioned a minimum of 20 minutes. Okay, in a minimum of 20 minutes at that kind of rate, you might be burning, say, 100 calories. All right, and you're going to be doing it again a minimum 3 to 4 days per week. So that's 400 calories, right? That doesn't mean that you have an extra 100 calories to now eat each day, because there are 7 days to the week. And I think I mentioned that body weight is regulated on a weekly basis. So that's 400 divided by your 7. You with me? 7, was it 642? So that's actually 60 extra calories per day that you're burning when you spread it over a weekly basis. And that's not much, really. That's not much. If you're going to be taking an extra tub of yogurt to get your probiotics, then we're looking at, say, upwards of 200 calories. So you understand why people will put on weight even though they are exercising, because they figure I'm burning calories and I'm going to be losing weight. But in fact, because they are eating more, hydration. I mean, I don't like to embarrass my husband, but we go walking. I'm a 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock person in the morning as well. And I'll take my banana to walk. And I know I will walk off my banana. When I come back, I hydrate with water. He's going to hydrate with juice. You see? So he puts in more calories than he actually burns off. So it means that he has to work harder. You understand what I'm saying? So this is how you kind of balance it off. You start with what you do, sedentary, and most people are sedentary all day. You're not in a very active job. So, and you may think even athletes are very active, but like now when they have slowed down their training, they are just as sedentary as everybody else. You see, so you have to be careful with that in terms of a diet. But in terms of actual foods, well, Nicole mentioned already your protein balanced with your carbohydrate, very, very important. Minimal fat, keep your fat down to the minimum, your good hydration, that type of stuff. But I would recommend my book, Caribbean Diet for Fitness and Sports Success.
Outstanding. I'm sure you took a lot of time to put all the great info in that book. So definitely check
yes,
out.
Yes. And it deals, all my material deals with Caribbean food. So this is what persons like about it, really. They get to understand the foods that they are familiar with.
And that's enticing to me. So I'll definitely go on there to get my book. So we have Millicent Elliott from Jamaicans.com Facebook page. As I reminded you earlier, that they will be streaming live from Jamaicans.com. So Millicent says, what are the benefits of using or drinking bay leaf? I guess that would be for you, Patricia. A lot of questions for you.
Okay, well, to me, bay leaf is a herb, just like many others. And although we would like to think that a lot of herbs are going to give us all these miraculous medicinal effects, remember, they are smaller incremental effects, and they also have negative effects. So indeed, they are medicinal, but all medicines, if you take in too much concentration, you get negative effects as well. So if you have to reduce salt intake, for example, it's a good way of getting the flavors up, you know, along with your rosemary and your thyme and whatever else you want to use, your pimento, so that you don't miss the salt. And Jamaicans just love salted food. So we have to look at herbs in that light. To me, they are more seasoning, and you do get benefits in terms of inflammation reduction. But as I said, it's incremental amounts. In the old days, they used to make drugs from these herbs, and it had to be concentrated, you know, to get the potency effect right away, as if it were a drug.
Awesome, thank you. We have, I'm going in the order that they're received. So we have, the next one is one that I actually started to read, Stephanie Booth. She says, Jesus is gone again. Okay, here we go, before it goes away. Could we talk about ways to control eating while we're in the house? Sometimes we eat when we're bored. How can we practice dieting at this time? That's from Stephanie Booth.
Let's get that again. When you eat when you're bored?
Sometimes we eat when we're bored. How can we practice dieting at this time?
Okay. Well, we come back to hydration again. That's the first thing. Make sure you're well hydrated. Okay. As I said, it's the brain center that controls hunger, satiety, and thirst. They are in the same region in the brain. So if you're thirsty, if you haven't had enough water for the day, chances are you may start to feel peckish when you don't need to feel peckish. So if you do feel peckish, the first thing to do is to make sure you're hydrated. Then you'll ask yourself, you know, am I really hungry? You have to learn how to identify hunger. If it's just boredom or whatever, you need to find some other distraction. You know, go do some stretches, go take a walk or something if you can. You know, and you'll realize that you're not hungry really. It is just being peckish. So that's first. Now, if you are feeling hungry and you have a plan, okay, nothing wrong with, okay, I was planning to eat my lunch at 12 o'clock. Nothing wrong with eating your lunch at 11:30, but then bear in mind you have eaten your lunch. You know, Jamaicans have a way. They're feeling peckish on the way home from work, say, and they stop in for a patty. Well, I just eat this patty on the way home till I get home, I'll eat my dinner. No, you have already had your dinner once you had the patty, you know, or two. You know, this is just the way it is. The calories are not interested in your feeling to have comfort or feeling peckish. The calories are calories, you know, and they all add up irrespective of where they come from. You see? So you have to start with your plan, and you have to make sure, well, what in my plan have I used up already? You know, what do I have left then? Maybe it is that you didn't have some fruit during the day, and that's why you're now feeling peckish for some sugar. Okay, so you make sure you have some dried fruit, maybe raisins, dates, you know, whatever, and you can take those in place of your fresh fruit. Even 1 or 2 tamarind balls, nothing wrong with that, you know.
Thank you very much. That was very thorough, and I appreciate you answering that for our audience member. So the next one we're gonna ask to David. David, you're next. But before so, we're gonna give a shout out to Melody House. That's J-Woof's adopted girls' home. They're watching us live in Jamaica. So hello, guys. Ladies. Guys is what I use for everybody. So hello, ladies, young ladies. Thank you for joining us. And we love you. And I hope to visit you in the future with the J-Woof group. So that's something I definitely want to do. So shout out to Melody House. Thank you for joining us. David, do you recommend taking advantage of the CARES Act and use 401k funds for a home purchase? And that question is from Georgia Elliott.
Right, so I've been looking at that question and thinking, how would I answer it? And so for me, what I noticed was they said home purchase. This is not a real estate investment to generate income. So as long as, in my opinion, rates are not going to get any lower than this, literally they're not going to get lower, they can only go up. So if you're planning to live in the property, so owner occupied, it's a home, I'll live in there for longer than 5 years, please don't just get up and move every 5 years. Yes, I think you should take advantage of the low rates that we have right now and buy and get, whether it's a 15-year mortgage or a 30-year, and then you pay down, you pay extra. But right now rates are ridiculously low. So take advantage of them if you can qualify to purchase at this point in time.
What's the
You just broke up. What
No.
point?
David?
Yes.
I was asking, what's the average rate right now for home buyers?
So I've been seeing rates between 3.3% and 3.75% for people with, fairly good credit score. So I think those rates are not, they can't go much lower, right? Because the federal funds rate is 0%. And the banks still have to make the money. So that's there. But remember, your home is not an investment. I remind everybody, we don't think of your house as a bank account that I can borrow against it at some point. Your home is where you live. So use low rates to go and find some property, and then you hang on to it and stop looking at the value of the house. Don't go on Zillow every month and calculate it in your net worth. Just find a nice house, take advantage of these low rates, and enjoy it.
Outstanding. Thank you, David. So Nicole, we're going to go back to you now. We have Camille. She says, Nicole, any tips for the old mommies? My baby is 27 years old, not 2.7, 27 years old.
That's a big baby.
I know, right?
Lord Jesus. Well, I am huge on resetting. I do a lot of detoxing, and I have all the information on my Instagram. Cleaning out the lining of your system, the gut, giving your body a break from all the stuff that you've been eating. And for the mom that has a 27-year-old baby, maybe work out with your 27-year-old. Bond together, right? Because your son or daughter is old enough. And also to remember that you're here to live a legacy. So even though they may be 27, they're still looking at you. You want to set the tone of what's to come. Mommy is 65, and when I go out with her, I'm so honored because it makes me blush when people say how good she looks, because she really takes care of herself. And when Dominic Zion is older, I want people to say the same thing about me. Your mom is fit. Your mom can do 20 pull-ups. Oh my gosh, your mama can do 20 push-ups. You have to want it. And you have to remember it's bigger than just you. I think when it comes to fitness, a lot of times people focus on just themselves and I got to look good. It's all about me, but it's not all about you. We're all connected. So if you win, someone else is going to win. And I walk through my life with a Boaz anointing. I say, if I'm blessed, I want to be able to bless 10 other people. When I get in the gym floor and I do 10 push-ups and 20 push-ups, I start seeing people come around and they're like, you know what? I can do it too. So motivate yourself by knowing that it's bigger than you.
Outstanding. Thanks, Nicole. Great tip.
You're welcome.
So we have several people that has questions, but we're going to be voting on who has the most questions in here. So the votes are going to be the ones who wins these gift cards and the giveaway basket. To keep the questions going, we have probably another 10 minutes that we can answer your questions. So I'm going to go to the next one, but don't forget, keep the questions going and folks will vote, and then you will win gift cards or the gift basket. I have someone in here that doesn't have a name though. It says, good morning. It's great to see Pat Thompson on this conference. So you have a fan, Pat.
Hi there, whoever you are.
Yeah, it doesn't have a name on there. It says, thanks to technology. My question is, what foods can assist in lowering high blood pressure without going on chemical medication?
Okay, fruits. Now, the good thing about fruits is that they are all high in potassium. And actually, it's what we call the sodium-potassium ratio that is important in high blood pressure, not just reducing salt. Okay, you have to balance sodium and potassium. So you don't want to get too little sodium because you still need a certain amount of sodium for your nerves and so on to function, but you want to balance it with potassium. Okay, so the fruits that are highest in potassium, I would say coconut water is up there. Ripe banana is up there. Well, I love the guava. I love the guava. If you can get it, that's why I have guava trees. Okay, because one thing is important, you're going to get a good bowel movement with your guavas and enough water. your pawpaws.
I was going to ask you about that, papaya. Yeah.
yes, with the yellow color for your beta carotene as well. Yes, those are really the high potassium fruits. And unfortunately, the American fruits are not so high at all. In fact, when you get renal conditions and we have to ask you to reduce your sodium a little bit, it's usually the American fruits that we allow you to have lots of. Okay, but the high potassium fruits, there are lots of those, as I said before. Even with coconut water, it's not just the water, but the jelly also is high in potassium. The problem with the jelly is that it's also high in fat. So you have to watch the calories there. Okay, you have to watch the calories. But if you do have to use some form of fat, that is good. The avocado pear, very good. And of course, I would love Jamaican ackee. You know, just make sure that it was reaped properly. That's all. Yes. So I would say those are more or less the high potassium foods. Yes.
And those are some of my favorites. So that works well for me. Definitely. Thank you. I definitely want to get with you after all of this because you have some awesome information that I would love to, you know, we'll talk more. I love that. David. So, you know what, before I go to the next question for David, I know you guys are, the audience, they're putting in these questions, but you're not telling us where you're, you know, joining us from. So we want to give you a shout out, but we also want to give your city a shout out. So whenever you're asking these questions, just say, hey, I'm from Miami, I'm from New York, I'm from the UK, wherever you're joining us from, because I know there are people on here from everywhere. Okay, please. Thank you so much. All right, David, we have Keisha Nesbitt Willis. She says, is there a minimum dollar amount required to get represented by your company?
So I have to be very careful not to breach any SEC rules. So the simple answer is 1, yes, there is a minimum while we're a private company. 2, we're limited to 99 shareholders. And so we have very specific rules we have to follow. And so I can't publicly talk about the minimum. I have to say, yes, there's a minimum. You have to reach out to me. But once the company is listed, there's no minimum. The minimum price we have to list at is $4 a share. We're listing on the NASDAQ capital market. So you could put your $4 in, your $10, and that's the point. We want people to be able to come with $100 and start and get going. And the goal the investment bank we're dealing with is aiming for November of this year. We might be able to speed up some things, but that is all I'm legally allowed to say.
And we respect that, no problem. So what we'll do, we'll provide your information so folks can reach out to you, to everyone later, and then you can answer those questions privately. We have another question from Stephanie. Says, why do we feel tired after we eat meals? What are some ways we can feel energized after eating? Is that you, Patricia?
Okay, first of all, the meal timing, as I mentioned before. Okay, if your meals are not well spaced, then you'll find that you are on the verge of lethargy by the time you do eat. Then you're so hungry, you're going to eat more than you actually need to energize you for the next spell. You know, so, and that usually happens around lunchtime because you have neglected your mid-morning snack maybe. And so by the time you eat lunch at 2:33, you are eating so much, it puts you to sleep for the afternoon. So, you know, the siesta. Okay. So make sure that your meal intervals are correct, and your spacing, your division of your meal sizing. Okay. It's also good. So basically that's the main thing that you want to look out for. Some foods are called lighter in spirit than others, so to speak. And here again, we come in with our fruits and vegetables. You know, as I said, a good snack. So they are just enough sugar to keep you to the next eating episode, so to speak. Right? That way the blood sugar doesn't fall too low, and therefore you don't be so ravenous at mealtime. Basically, that's it.
Awesome. I think this next question is going to go to Nicole. The feedback is coming back. Are you there? I just twisted my ankle during this quarantine. And it says, when I was trying to ship a box to a UPS store, how long should I expect this to heal? I love to walk, but I can't. Also, how do I keep the weight off? Doesn't say the name, but that's a question for you, Nicole.
Well, it depends on the severity of the ankle sprain, right? It depends how bad it is and what the physical therapist says. You definitely don't want to rush it. That happened to me. Texting and walking down the staircase, I twisted my ankle. Stupid, not paying attention. But actually, mine healed in like 2 weeks. I don't know. It was like Wolverine, and it healed, and I was able to do what I have to do. What I would suggest, because you can't put weight on the foot, your ankle, do a lot of floor exercises. Make sure you're doing your sit-ups, your crunches, your planks, your wall squats, your shoulder press. Keep the body moving as much as possible. Your bicycles on the floor. And that's an excellent way to keep off the weight. Another way is to reduce the amount of food that you're eating. Because if you're not burning as many calories, whatever you're eating is going to turn into fat. You're going to gain weight, right? It takes 3,500 calories to lose a pound. So if you're not making that deficit, you're going to gain a pound or 2 or 3, depending on that 3,500 times 2 times 3, whatever it is. So you have to be very, very careful. And like Patricia was saying, hydrate. I don't know if this is true or this is a myth, but I was told, and I've tried it, if you can resist a craving more than 4 minutes, you could probably beat it. So if you really want that snack or you really want to eat something or whatever, if you pass the 4-minute mark, you probably don't want it anymore. And someone had mentioned this in the chat. I don't remember who she is, but she said this, and I'm going to repeat it because I agree with her. If it's not in the house, you're not going to eat it. So when I go to the grocery store, I make sure I pass the cookie aisle, the crackers aisle, all of that aisle. You know, I only go get my hard dough bread, and I try to stay away from it because I like it so much with butter. So I try to back that aisle too. But when you can't resist it, I eat 1 piece of bread and I cut it in half. That's what I do. That's my treat instead of eating a whole piece of bread.
Makes sense. And I'm like that too. I break it. If I'm going to eat bread, because I'm a bread lover, I do half of a slice.
Half of one slice, exactly.
Yeah, half of one slice. And so we have one final question, and then we're going to wrap it up and move forward. So the last question is for, let's see, you again. I'm Nicole. I'm a morning exerciser. Where did that go? See, as soon as I'm saying something, it just goes away. Morning exerciser. Sometimes I grab a bagel and coffee. How's that? That's from Anika.
I don't like the bagel thing because I think it's so carb heavy. Like I said, I would prefer to do a fruit. And I think the young lady had mentioned that she put almond milk in the coffee. So I'm not a coffee drinker either. I'm more of a tea person. I like my ginger tea, peppermint tea. That's more my also tea. That's what I stick to. And I don't put any sweeteners in it. No honey, no agave, nothing. If you're going to do that in the morning time, you have to make sure how much are you doing. And if you're going to do the coffee, if you're not putting creamer and sugar and turning it into a maca latte and whatever they do at Starbucks, because remember, that's a lot of calories. So if you have the bagel plus the coffee and then you're going to go burn it off, you're probably going to weigh yourself down and not perform the best. So I would switch it up altogether, try something different like the fruits instead. And if you're going to do the bagel, scoop out the bagel. Scoop out all of the middle, toast it. If you want some cream cheese or butter, like I said, I'm not really into the bagels, but if you have to do it, I would suggest just put a little bit on top, or maybe peanut butter instead of the butter and cream cheese, and then take it from there and maybe do just half a cup of coffee instead of the full cup. Try to reduce the calories.
Awesome. So this last one, very last one, because it's going to be an easy one. Patricia, she asked, Anika asked, please give me the name of your book again.
Okay, it's Caribbean Diets for Fitness and Sports Success. And there's another one that's a bestseller. It's Caribbean Calorie Counter and Conscious Eating Guide. But they're both, displayed on the website, so you can get up there and inquire, some more. But just to comment on the last point, the almond milk, you have to remember, is low protein. It's not the regular protein. And your shake, once you want to get a mixture of carbohydrate and protein, a good balance of carbohydrate and protein. The bagel is pretty much akin to hard-dough bread, for those who want to know how heavy it is, right? So again, the almond milk is really for persons with renal conditions who need to keep down their protein intake, not for exercisers.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much.
Somebody just put
All
on
right,
the
so I'm
website, JamaicanNutrition.com.
Okay. And I'm gonna ask everyone to do to give out their information so folks can get your direct websites or social media right after this. The 3 key takeaways that I got from each of you. One is Nicole says, as far as her baby, she uses the weight of the baby to exercise, to be the weight that she uses to do her lifts. And she encourages other moms to do the same. I don't think Camille wants to lift her 27-year-old. So this is more for the moms with younger babies. And then that's also spending time with the family. So she encourages that. Patricia says, portion your meals by percentage. For example, breakfast 25%, lunch 30%, and so on to get to that 100%. And then in between. And if you're snacking, you're going to snack on the healthier stuff. And for David says, don't think that you're different from anyone when it comes to investing, and don't dump all of your funds in one basket. Pretty much don't dump all your eggs in one basket. Don't be scared to invest. And a key source from David is motleyfool.com. I think they already put that on the chat group. So those are 3 things that you can take away. And at this time, please go ahead and give your social media or a way that our audience members can contact you. Go ahead. We'll start with David.
Well, so I'm the easiest person to find. BlueMahoCapital.com, Maho the Jamaican spelling. I'm at David Mullings on Twitter, at David P. Mullings on Instagram, and davidmullings.com. So if you just Google David Mullings, I guarantee you can find me, including my office phone number shows up, and it rings on my cell phone if I'm not in the office. So good luck.
Awesome. Thank you. And Nicole?
Nicole, Nicole, Chaplin, CHAP like Paul, LIN. And my Instagram is Nicole Chaplin with the letter 1. YouTube, Facebook, all the same. Nicole Chaplin, and then just add the number 1.
Awesome. And Patricia?
Yes, the website, JamaicanNutrition.com. The email is nutritionjamaica@gmail.com. And you can get me on Instagram and Facebook, JA Island. JA Island Nutrition. I think that's what it is. JA Island Nutrition. Yes. Okay.
Awesome. And then so once they go on your website, they can actually get all that information anyway. So no.
Oh yes, yes. They can also Google it if they forget all of that.
Yeah, no worries. And so any last point before we close out with you panelists? Any last points? No?
Well, I have one, since in the chat they were asking if I can answer Sandra's question quickly about annuities. So I'll say it, I typed it, but my last point is, whenever you're doing an investment, focus on the tax implications. Taxes matter. We somehow forget that we have taxes and you pay different levels of taxes. So an annuity, for example, is taxed as ordinary income, which is a higher tax rate than investment income. So stocks are long-term capital gains of 10%, 15, 20%. So always think about the tax implications and invest in a tax advantage way. And when you do the Motley Fool stuff, you'll see the difference between an exchange traded fund is more tax efficient than a mutual fund. So that's what I'll leave you with. Care more about your taxes.
Awesome. Thank you very much, David. And anything from you, Nicole?
I just wanted to say I'm glad to be here, honestly. That's it. I'm just grateful. And I think that it's amazing that we could come together. And even though Rona didn't allow us to be together in the flesh, we're here and we're using God's blessing that we're coming together. So thank everybody for coming on, and thank you guys for your time.
Amen. Praise God. I'm just happy to be here too. Thank you. and Patricia.
Yes, and I say ditto to that. This has been a great experience. It's my first experience like this, really. And I think it's a good way to keep in touch with your audience. And I just want to encourage you all to support JWAF. And I am looking forward to my daughter, who is moving to Florida in the summer, to be a member of JWAF. This looks like a very exciting group. And I hope she's watching because she's in North Carolina right now.
Outstanding. Thank you very much. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Do not go anywhere because we have some folks who won, your winners. We have some names that we're going to let you know, and I'm going to announce that right now before we bring on our president. So let's see. We have Sandra, and Sandra's address is SANDRAB 1249. So Sandra wins a gift card. Yay, Sandra. And our next winner is Anika. So thank you both. You both will get your gift cards, and we have more to give away in the Happy Hair Hour. So don't go anywhere. We're going to have our president's speech coming up, and we're super excited about that. So we want to thank our guests again and our panelists, and for all of you who are joining, stick and stay, don't go anywhere. Our president, thank you so much. Go ahead, Arlene.
Hello, good afternoon, host, panelists, members, and guests. Thank you for your participation in JWAF's second of 3 virtual conferences. I hope that everyone will enjoy and benefit from the knowledge shared today. I particularly would like to thank our panelists for guiding us through rebalancing process, given the current health, financial, and domestic affairs climate today. Suddenly, we're challenged with trying to live normally amidst the devastation of the deadly COVID pandemic. Now, while everyone is adversely affected, many women are the glue to the society in varying capacities as wives, mothers, head of households, and community leaders. We must now all reclaim, rebalance, and reset our mental, physical, and financial health in order to successfully maintain our roles. These are new challenges, are not easy, but it's the nature of women to overcome any challenge. Special recognition and thanks to the previous board, immediate past president, June Minto, an advisor to the current board, Dorothy Kelly, who was the secretary, treasurer was Donna Skis, director at large was Donna Callender, legal director Anne-Marie Clark, and past next gen director was Sophia Blair. Now let me reintroduce the new board. I am Arlene Lewis-Marr, your current president. My VP is Dr. Keisha Gray. Our secretary is Adriana Bentley. Our treasurer, Judith Cunningham. Director at large, Joy Thomas. Our legal director is Anne-Marie Clark. And our next gen director is Dr. Monique Roswell. Again, thank you all for participating in today's conference. Continue to enjoy the rest of the conference. Thanks to our sponsors, and remember to support our vendors. Coming up, we will present our first 2 recipients of our scholarship for the first time. So enjoy, and don't forget to tune in for our next conference on May 16th. Enjoy again. Bye.
And in the meantime, while we get the other speaker on, I would like to give a shout out to our vendors. They are Desert Sage, D Next Step, Bellamia Beads, June Plum Access, Rev Jewelry, Right Choice Boutique, Chic Imprints, Herbal Goods, actually Herbal Gods, and Red Rose Nutrition. And also we have Red Rose Naturals. I think that's what we meant. Red Rose Naturals, and they're the ones who has the gift basket that's coming up in the Happy Hair Hour. And so we have more giveaways. I need you to tune in, and while we work on getting the next speaker on. And I am super excited about this Happy Hair Hour that's coming up, because last time the DJ was rocking, and so was everyone else. So here we are. We have our next speaker go ahead. This floor is yours, ma'am.
Okay. Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are at JWOOF's second virtual conference. If surveyed, who would have voted for a virtual conference? My bet would be no one. But here we are. Nothing stops Jamaican women from getting together. Where there's a will, there's a way. What an awesome panel we just had. Such good information and some actionable steps for all of us to take. So my name is Margaret Brisbane, a proud member of JWOOF. I have the honor of participating in the scholarship committee. As you know, one of JWOOF's primary goals is to raise funds for young ladies as they head off to university. Did you know that to date, JWOOF has awarded 10 scholarships valued at $46,000? We are making a difference, so please keep supporting this initiative. And a special thanks to Broward Youth for their ongoing sponsorship. In our first session, we had the opportunity to meet Michaela Ward and Lene Gordon, our 2020 scholarship recipients. What deserving young ladies. Today, I have the privilege of talking to two fabulous ladies who have been past scholarship recipients. Our first guest will be Jamie Noisley, a graduate from Florida Atlantic University. She's entering her final year of law school at St. Thomas University. Welcome, Jamie.
Hi.
How are
hear me?
you today?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. So how does it feel to be JWOOF's first scholarship recipient, as well as our first university graduate? You are a big deal.
It is fantastic, of course. I feel extremely blessed, extremely, welcome all the time and loved.
I'm getting a bit of a feedback there, but you have made our organization very, very proud, and we really appreciate what you're doing. So that the ladies can get to know you a bit better, tell us about your college experience and what keeps you busy when you're not studying.
Well, like you mentioned, I graduated from FAU almost 3 years ago now. Time flies. And right after I enrolled at St. Thomas Law, thank God I got through my first year. And now I am going into my third and final year. In the time that I've been at St. Thomas, I've interned for the Honorable Phoebe Francois in Broward County. I became a student ambassador for the admissions office for the law school, and I held various executive office positions, such as junior executive officer of the Honorable Peter Palermo Mentorship Program. I was president of the Caribbean Law Student Association, vice president of the Black Law Student Association, and a 2L senator for the Student Bar Association. So.
Wow, very impressive. You are a busy young lady. Like all of us, I'm sure COVID has impacted you. How are you and your family dealing with this COVID situation, and what impact has it had on your classes?
Actually, a few of my family members are watching online right now, so we're all doing really well. We've been staying safe and healthy, so everything's good on our end. School-wise, as you probably know, all of the schools, law schools in particular, are fully online. We're on a completely online platform. And, we have all these different assigned readings and assignments. So I have no problem staying indoors, keeping busy, not bored here.
Right.
And I've really been spending a lot of time talking with faculty. I'm the first Black president of the Student Bar Association now. So I interact with them all the time to make sure that I'm communicating between the students and faculty. So some students are struggling at home. We've been trying to come up with different ways to keep them engaged, keep them driven. So we've been doing like Zoom study sessions and helping with tutoring with our trial team and stuff like that. So,
Girl, you rock, man. You are making the most of this time. So thank you. So what are you doing to prepare for post-law school? What area of law are you interested in?
I have decided to go forward with doing tax law.
Wow.
So no one saw that coming, not even me. So, so far I have started getting involved with the tax program at my school. So I became advanced certified in tax preparation a few months back, prior to tax season. So I was helping my school do taxes for indigent people in our neighborhood, in our area. Recently, I got accepted into the tax law certificate program in the clinical program. So I'll be working with my first real clients in the fall, and I'll be working under the bar license of our lead tax attorney slash professor. And yeah.
Well, as you said, no one saw that coming. So why tax law? What fascinates you about this area of law?
I can't really say what it is that fascinates me about tax law. I don't think anyone is excited about tax law, but I want to say I was really motivated to go this route. I have three female mentors in law school. They're all graduating now, but they all pursued tax. One of them is already doing her LLM, and I plan to do so as well. Okay. And they were very persuasive. They at least told me to try one tax course, see how it goes. And so I did. And I don't know, it stuck.
And if it's your passion, it's your passion. So Jamie, I am sure our members are interested in knowing what impact the Jamaican Women of Florida Scholarship had on your pursuit of college. So can you share with us the impact the scholarship had for you?
That's a loaded question. I don't think I have time to get into all the nitty gritty, but if we're talking about the funds themselves, very, very helpful. I was awarded the 4-year scholarship. So before each semester, I was able to go purchase study materials and, my books for courses, which is really important. I don't think a lot of people realize that post-secondary schooling is a little complex when it comes to financial aid. So most times school will begin before you get the reimbursement from your financial aid. So it could be 1 to 2 weeks into classes before you actually get the money that you need to go get your books and things for class. And by that time, you've already missed out on so much information. So to have that ability and not to have to worry about things like that was just godsend, lifesaver.
Okay, ladies, I hope you're hearing these outputs really do help. We'll come back to that later.
Absolutely.
So, Jamie, you are in your 3rd year of law school. You must have had some challenges along the way. Can you share with us one of those challenges and how you dealt with it?
Yes. So, Hillary, I know you're on here. Hillary Query, one of my mentors from JWolf. When I was graduating from undergrad, I was writing a thesis paper for one of my senior courses, working in Hillary's law firm as a legal assistant, preparing for my other final exams, and just doing so many things at once. And I had to prepare to take the law school admission test, the LSAT. I wasn't prepared. I tried my best. I ended up getting a low score, and I was distraught. I lost motivation. I saw my dreams slip away from me. I was crying. It was bad. So I called Hillary and told her about what was going on, asked for her advice. And I remember she said, she didn't even like acknowledge that I was sad. She was just like, okay, but if you got a low score, is it enough to get you where you want to be? And when she asked me that, my whole dynamic changed. The way I saw everything changed. I was more positive after that. And I asked myself that question. I had never asked myself that. I just assumed that it was all going to fall apart because I didn't match up where I needed to at that time. So she helped me.
So what would you say is the lesson you learned from having gone through that experience?
This is very important to me. You do not have to excel at everything you do to excel in life. You can be just enough. You can do just enough to get by and still excel and do well. I think having that experience prior to law school really helped because law school's hard. It's still hard and I'm almost done, but you have to remember that you can't always get the A, you can't always be on top, but you can always be doing well and, motivate others to do well. So I think I learned that the mind is a powerful thing. If you tell yourself bad things are going to happen, they probably will happen. You can't speak that into existence. You just have to believe and trust in faith in God and keep pushing forward.
Wow, such a great lesson to learn, not just for you as a university student, but I think as women in our lives, that really hits home for us. And because some of us are always trying to be our best at everything, it's good to stop and reflect that sometimes we just need to be good enough, not always excellent. Well, thank you very much for that advice. It's great when a scholarship recipient can be mentored by one of our own JWolf members. Miss Hillary Cleary shouts out. And even better when you get such good advice that you can help, and that it can help in all aspects of your life. And it sounds like you're definitely taking that to heart. So again, very good. Well, Miss Jamie, your journey has sure been a fascinating one, and we could talk all afternoon. But since we can't, what is your final thoughts for our virtual conference attendees?
First things first, just a big thank you. I know that I am far gone past my scholarship limit, but I have been living the experience of the scholarship ever since I received it. I remember when I got it, I was invited to the luncheon that year. I sat at a table with all lawyers. I met Hillary. I ended up getting to work with her in her law firm. I've already explained how she's helped me through all different sort of situations and obstacles in my life. And so it's just, I feel that, when you're a high school student, you have your life ahead of you. The world is your oyster, as they say. And there's so many things that can either positively impact you or negatively impact you. And so having JWolf and all the members and all of the leaders in there help me and guide me along the way, and even the smallest ways, I feel like I would never be able to repay that. And I feel like I speak on behalf of all the scholarship recipients when I say that we all just want to become a living testament of the greatness that is JWolf. So just thank you and keep going.
Well, since you're blazing the trails, I am sure you're speaking on behalf of all the other young women who are going to be following in your footsteps. Well, thank you, Jamie. We are very proud of you and look forward to having you join the JWolf membership in the future. We wish you all the success as you pursue your law degree, and we may need your services one day. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello, Tamara. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Ladies and gentlemen, our next guest is Miss Tamara Wallace. She's currently a student at Columbia University in New York, studying economics, political science, and human rights. Quite a mouthful. Well, welcome tomorrow and hope you're staying safe in New York.
Yes, I am. I'm currently self-quarantining on my college's campus.
Okay, well, best place for you to be. So Tamara, I'd like to have our audience get to know you a bit better. So tell us about yourself and what drew you to Columbia, from a Florida sunshine girl to head up to New York to that cold, chilly weather. What was the draw?
Well, I'm from Cooper City, and since fifth grade, have always wanted to go to Columbia, kind of for not the wrong reasons, but more superficial reasons. I've always loved New York and loved the culture. And then once I came to high school, I started looking into Columbia more seriously. And I started looking into the core, which is full of political theory, philosophy, literature. And those are the things that I'm most interested in. So Columbia just seemed like a great fit, since the core is so like close to things that I am interested in. Yeah, it just seemed like the best option for me. So
while you're there at Columbia, what are the things that you have become really interested in? Since the school was such a great draw for you, what are you doing while you're there that's not in your academic stream?
Sure. So I am the editorial page editor at the Columbia Daily Spectator. So that means I run the opinion section of the newspaper. I'm on the board of directors for Community Impact, which is an educational nonprofit in Harlem. I'm the vice president of an organization called SHE, that is a nonprofit focused on aiding young women in professional, pocket, and personal goals. And yeah, I've also interned at UNICEF and the New York City Council.
Wow, you are not busy at all. It sounds like you are so involved, and that's really, really awesome. Ladies online listening, I want you to see the caliber of young women that are getting scholarships through this organization. And this is just a glimpse at how much these ladies have done with these scholarships. So living in New York, you're at the epicenter of the COVID pandemic. How are you and your family dealing with this COVID situation? And what impact has it had on your classes?
Yes, so I'm isolating on campus, but the rest of my family is still in Florida and everyone is doing fine. I have very little contact with other people in my building, which is something I'm getting used to, but kind of mitigating it with Netflix partying, like, you know, Zoom. And yeah, I mean, my classes have become a little bit less rigorous since they're online, which has given me more time to do fun things like watercolor painting, which I just started. I'm making different wrapping paper for my friends, like gifts for them and stuff. And it's also given me more time to focus on our school's newspaper, trying to recruit from around the community, and yeah, get the voices that really matter.
Well, I am so happy to see that you have found an outlet so you can stay sane, because I'm sure, you know, being quarantined to your dorm has not been easy, and we're heading into 6-7 weeks. So again, I applaud you for finding an outlet that you can actually do something that's non-academic. Okay, so tell us about your plans after you graduate from Columbia.
Sure. I would really like to become a human rights lawyer or a civil rights lawyer. I really want to work with the United Nations to possibly mitigate barriers to education worldwide. During this time, I've been practicing hardcore for the LSAT. So yeah, hopefully that comes to fruition.
So what spawned your interest in human rights?
So I've always been really interested in doing service work. In high school, I was the president of National Honor Society, vice president of Liberty in North Korea, and the president of Model United Nations. And in all of these clubs, we did a lot of projects to help the younger students. Like in NHS, we helped Title I elementary schools and middle schools by tutoring the students there and taking them to museums and kind of developing a mentorship program with them. So it's something that I've always been interested in.
Man, ladies, I'm telling you, I do not think at Tamara's age I did this many things. It is amazing that you guys are so involved and have done so much at your very young age. So I applaud you. So again, another question that I think our members are anxious to hear. Tell us about the impact this scholarship had on you, and what do you think the value of that has been to someone like yourself and or other recipients who will follow in the future?
Yeah, so the scholarship has impacted me immensely. I'm extremely thankful. The scholarship has given me the ability to pursue a bunch of activities on campus that working more hours wouldn't allow me to do. I've been in a play, I've modeled in a fashion show for like Black culture. And these are the things that I feel, makes you more learned as a person rather than just as an academic or student. And this scholarship has really given me the ability to immerse myself in my campus culture and learn more.
Awesome. Very good. Well, we are all sending you positive thoughts as you shelter in New York. And I am sure that you have some final thoughts for our virtual conference attendees.
Of course, yes. I really, really appreciate the support of the JWIF family, and I thank you all wholeheartedly for supporting this organization and helping me in my college journey. I really hope that everyone is staying safe in this pandemic, and I hope that the inequalities that the virus has exposed catalyze later changes in our social structure. Yeah, I hope we just think to the future and hopefully come out of this unscathed.
You're a part of that future, so we look forward to all the successes. Thank you, Tamara, for spending your afternoon with us. I'm sure that this is the most guests you have had in a very long time. Wish you all the success as you pursue your degree. Stay safe and just know you have a big family here supporting you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Have a great day. Well, ladies, it's been an honor to talk to these awesome, awesome young ladies. I know we're all very proud of them. It's been my pleasure to spend this time with you ladies, showcasing the importance of the scholarship program. Amazing to see how technology has brought us all together. And my final note to you guys, ladies, it's been 6 weeks since we have been quarantined and you have not been shopping. So all that money that you have, why don't you just press this button and donate to this scholarship fund? As you can see, the results are phenomenal. So again, thank you all for your time. We really, really appreciate these young ladies and they really need our support. So thank you very much and enjoy the rest of the program.
Thank you, Margaret. Did an excellent job. And such impressive and polished young leaders, aren't they? They're the leaders of the future. Excuse me. And so parents and mentors, you did well. I saw Hillary in the chat room and she said that Jamie was her mentee and she's so proud of her. So Tamara and Jamie are blazing their trails already. And it's always best to start this young. That's why your help in supporting JWIF is so important. This is just a sneak peek into some of the work that JWIF is doing to help young people, to include the girls at JWIF's adopted girls' home at Melody House, which they're on here with us today. So please donate to the organization and become a member. You don't have to be from Florida to be a member. Just note that, okay? So ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. This concludes the formal portion of part 2, Rebalance. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed this segment of the series, and I hope you've learned various ways to rebalance your finance, your fitness, and your nutrition. It was my honor serving as your host today. there will be a new host in part 3. So please connect with me on LinkedIn or on social media. And again, I am Maxine Reyes, U.S. Army Captain Retired. And you may reach me on social media at Maxine Reyes TV, whether it's Facebook or Instagram, or go to JamaicanWomenOfFlorida.com and you'll see my information, and also register for part 3 while you're there. And that's going to be reset on May 16th. So same time, same place, next in 2 weeks. And I would like to thank our sponsors once again, the Jamaica Tourist Board, Jamaicans.com, Broward Meat and Fish, and Turn. So please take a moment to grab a drink, grab your credit cards to donate to JWolf and support our vendors. Get your dancing shoes or kick them off because you're home. And, you know, because I know some of you have been waiting for this moment ever since you joined DJ Fergie at Reclaim. So I know you're ready for this. And one last request from me. Please take care of yourselves. And remember to do all things with love, courage, grace, and gratitude. One love. DJ Fergie, they're all yours. And while you pop in here, I'm going to give some shout outs to some folks on here. So Joy is joining us from Toronto. Thank you very much for joining us, guys. And I'm going to put my social media here in the chat room while Fergie gets going.
So I'm taking them live right now.